Hello, my name is Shelley. In this series on algebraic fractions, we've spent a lot of time learning how to factorize. And we've used factorization in the simplification of fractions, but we've also used it to multiply, divide, add, and subtract fractions. By the end of this lesson, you will be able to recognize each type of algebraic fraction and perform all operations on algebraic fractions. In this lesson, we will be given a variety of examples and we need to identify what to do when. Each of the questions will ask us to simplify, but the procedure will vary depending on what we are given. We are not going to do the operations just yet, we just need to recognize what to do. Here is the first example. Simplify P divided by QR plus R divided by PQ minus Q divided by PR. What do you see between these fractions? Yes, a plus sign and a minus sign. So this involves addition and subtraction of fractions. What needs to be done? Well, think about it. We did this in a previous lesson. Let's recap. Remember, for addition or subtraction of fractions, you have to firstly find the lowest common denominator. You may have to factorize first. Secondly, write each fraction with the new denominator. Thirdly, multiply the numerator by the same number by which you multiplied the denominator. And lastly, add the numerators. We will do the simplification later. For now, let's look at our second example and identify what needs to be done. Again, simplify P divided by QR multiplied by R divided by PQ divided by Q divided by PR. What do you see between these fractions? Yes, a multiplication and a division sign. So, what needs to be done? Well, we have done a lesson on the division of fractions. Remember, we learned that when dividing fractions, we flip or invert the fraction by which you are dividing and change to multiplication. And then we must cancel the fractions. Let us see what is required in the third example. We have to simplify this multiplication. K minus P divided by 2 multiplied by 2k divided by p minus k. But can we cancel straight away? No, because these brackets are not really the same. We need to try to make the brackets the same. Remember, we have learned how to deal with this. It involves changing the sign. So, for changing of the sign, we have to multiply twice by minus 1. P minus k becomes minus 1 multiplied by k minus p. And then we can cancel factors. Here is our fourth example. Simplify 2x plus 3 minus 2x plus 3 multiplied by x plus 1, all divided by x. What do we have to do here? Can we cancel the fraction? What do you notice in the numerator? Well, the numerator includes terms, not factors. See, there is a minus sign separating the terms. We have to factorize the numerator by taking out the common bracket, and then simplify the numerator to see if we can cancel further. Now for our fifth example. Simplify x squared plus y squared, all divided by x plus y. So, can we cancel this fraction? Well, look at the numerator. What do you see? It is the sum of two squares. What do we do with this? Note, we have learned how to factorize the difference of two squares. This is the sum of two squares. It cannot be factorized. We cannot simplify this fraction. It stays the same. We have one more example to look at before we get down to doing the actual simplification. Simplify x squared minus 2x minus 8, all divided by x squared minus 16. So what do we have to do here? Look at the numerator. What do you notice about this? And the denominator? What is this? Well, we know how to simplify this fraction. Let's list the steps. Firstly, the numerator is a quadratic trinomial. Factorize it. The denominator is the difference of two squares. Factorize it. Then we will be able to cancel the common brackets. Now that we've discussed what needs to be done to each of these questions, let's get stuck in. This is the first example. Number 1. Remember, this is addition and subtraction of fractions. So we have to find the common denominator. And our lowest common denominator is going to be PQR. So, what did I do to QR to give me PQR? I multiplied it by P. So we get our denominator. We need to now multiply the numerator by P, and we get P squared. Now, what did I do to PQ to give me PQR? I multiplied it by R. So now we multiply our numerator by R, and we get R squared. What did I multiply PR by to give me PQR? I multiplied it by Q. So we multiply the numerator by Q. Now we can write one fraction instead of three separate fractions. So our denominator is PQR, and we are going to get P squared plus R squared minus Q squared. Now we cannot simplify this any further because there are no common factors to cancel. There are three terms in the numerator and there are three factors in the denominator, so we cannot cancel. So this is our final answer. Now let's do number 2 together. Remember, we said here we are dealing with multiplication and division. And we know that for division, we invert the fraction and we can change the sign to multiplication. So we write P divided by QR multiplied by R divided by PQ. Now we write times and we invert that, so we get PR divided by Q. And now because we have factors everywhere, we can cancel. So notice the P's cancel, we have R's that cancel, and we are going to be left with PR divided by Q cubed. So now we have simplified the fractions. Here is number 3. We said we cannot cancel straight away. We first have to change the sign in this bracket. So we multiplied this bracket twice by minus 1. So let's write. We get K minus P divided by 2 multiplied by 2K divided by our denominator. Now we're going to times it twice by minus 1. So we can write it as minus 1 times by K minus P. But we don't need to include that 1. We could just write it as minus K minus P. And whether we write it in the denominator or the numerator doesn't matter. So I'm going to put it in the numerator. And then our denominator will just be K minus P. And now we can cancel our brackets. Notice the 2's also cancel out. And we are left with minus K. That was easy. Now let's move on to our 4th question. Here we said we must factorize the numerator by taking out the common bracket. So in the numerator, we take out our common factor, which is 2x plus 3. Now, 2x plus 3 divided into 2x plus 3, we are left with 1, minus 2x plus 3 divided into our second term, we are left with x plus 1. And don't forget to put it into a bracket. All divided by x. Now we can simplify that second bracket. So we write 2x plus 3 into 1 minus x minus 1. All divided by x. Now just adding our like terms into that bracket, we are going to get 1 minus 1 cancels out and we are left with a minus x divided by x. And now we have factors that we can cancel. This x will cancel out with this x. Don't forget we're still left with the minus, and we can write it as minus 2x plus 3. And that is our final answer. Remember, we said that example number 5 could not be simplified further. So we are going to move on to our final question. We firstly factorize the quadratic trinomial in the numerator. So we write our 2 brackets down, and we know in the first place in each bracket we're going to have an x. Now we think of two numbers that multiply together to give us minus 8, but would add to give us minus 2. And we should know that we get minus 4 plus 2. Now we're going to divide that by our denominator. This is a difference of 2 squares. So straight away we put down our 2 brackets, one having a plus sign, one having a minus sign. The square root of x squared is x, and that goes in the first place in each bracket. And the square root of 16 is 4, and that goes in the second place in each bracket. Now we have common factors that we can cancel out. X minus 4 cancels with x minus 4, and we are left with x plus 2 divided by x plus 4. And that would be our final answer. I hope you enjoyed all the practice we had in this lesson, and that any problems are now of the past. And all that's left for me to do is to give you your task. Your task is to write your own notes about fractions. Note the terms you have learned and the procedures to follow for different examples. So now we have covered all the operations that we need to simplify algebraic fractions. Remember, algebraic just means to replace numbers with symbols. What we have done is to take our numeric fractions and learn how to add, subtract, multiply, divide, and even to simplify, and we've applied it to algebraic fractions. So good luck and goodbye.